Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Why am I wearing sunglasses on my channel today? That is a great question. Why am I wearing sunglasses on my main channel today? That's better. Okay. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. This week I wanted to tell a story about my life. I had this idea about doing a video about Tinder or other dating apps. So as you can see, I have Hinge, Tinder, Bumble, and my newest app, J-Swipe. But I just hate dating apps so much that I can't even get it together to just message some people some funny stuff to get some content for this video that I want to make, because it's just so annoying to be on dating apps. I feel like not great about the interactions that I've had on dating apps, specifically Tinder, because I think there's a lot of fuckboys on Tinder. If you know The Gabby Show, I will link this series of videos down below because it's been going for like 4 years or something crazy. But she basically made a roast video of this guy that messaged her on Tinder and was like, you know, they had like a short cordial conversation, and then he goes,
"You wanna fuck or nah? Are we gonna fuck or not?"
And she is just like, no. And then he starts attacking her looks and like saying that she's ugly, and she just makes this whole video roasting him. Then he, for some crazy reason, decides to go on her YouTube channel and like not defend himself. He sort of apologizes, but he's obviously really uncomfortable. It's a great series. I'll link the original one down below, and the most recent one, because that's how I found it, because recently she interviewed him again, and he actually had a kid and seemed really nice, and you know, people can change. Anyway, I'm gonna tell the story today of my first and only Tinder date that I've gone on with a stranger, like someone that I truly didn't know, didn't have really any mutual connection with. I was just like, you seem cool, let's go on a date. So we meet on Tinder. He seems cool. I mean, he was a nice guy. It just was weird. Part of the reason I was excited to go on this date was because on his Tinder profile it said that he went to University of Chicago. I kind of am into people who are smart, and University of Chicago is a really hard school to get into. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, this guy must be really smart. Like, that's cool. That's hot.
Obviously, I am not trying to imply that only people who go to elite colleges are smart. Smart people come from all types of backgrounds. Many don't even go to college, and I 100% respect that decision.
We are talking on Tinder. Eventually, I think he was like, do you want to get coffee or something? And I was like, sure. He asked me to meet him at Wegmans, and he was like, I don't know, like, I just like walking around grocery stores, if that's cool. Which, like, when he first said that, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Like, that's a quirky date idea. Like, that can be fun. But in reality, like, when you don't know someone, you want to be like sitting down and making eye contact with them and speaking with them, and not just like randomly wandering down aisles. Okay, so the other weird thing was that as we got there, I was like, why don't we just meet like at the front doors of Wegmans? And he was like, okay. Or alternatively, I'm hopping in my daddy's red BMW and I'm wearing a matching like undersized red cropped jacket, so maybe you can spot me from a corner of the parking lot. Which, like, I don't even know how to, obviously at this point in the day, I was still like just trying to be optimistic and just being like, okay, don't be judgmental. Like, yes, he just is a grown man who referred to his dad as daddy. And also when in reference to taking his like luxury car, which I just like, nothing about that sentence was attractive to me, and it did raise some red flags, but I was just like, okay, whatever. We're going to the state, it's gonna be fun. It's also a huge parking lot, and so I got there and just like messaged him and was just like, why don't we just meet at the front doors? So we meet at the front doors, and we share like an awkward hug. We're walking around, we're aimless, it's not good. And then he's like, do you want to get like a beverage or something? And I was like, sure, okay. So I got a Snapple, he got a muscle milk. So then we're walking around outside, like, in the shopping center. He's like, I actually haven't had dinner yet if you want to eat. And I was like, yeah, I want to eat. Like, let's get some food. It's 7 p.m. Like, what else are we going to do here? So he's like, where do you want to eat? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm down with whatever. There's like a bunch of like fast casual places in this shopping center. I'm like, I'm down with whatever. He's like, okay, how about Mission Barbecue? And I was like, okay, sure. And he was like, I'm usually a vegan, but I mean, it's no big deal. And I was just like, well, if you're a vegan, like, let's go somewhere that gets you vegan food. And he was like, okay. And I was like, why don't we go to Chipotle? They have vegan food. And he was like, you want to go to Chipotle? And I was like, I just suggested Chipotle. And he was just like, okay, but if you want to get barbecue, like, it's really no big deal. Like, I'm vegan 365 days out of the year. Like, what's one day gonna matter? And I was just like, let's just go to Chipotle, dude. So we get to Chipotle and we're eating. Okay, this is where I'm gonna come off kind of shallow. And I'm like, I don't mean to be shallow. I'm sure that this guy is a nice guy. But we're eating at Chipotle and we're talking, so I'm like asking about University of Chicago because I'm curious about what he does. And he was like, yeah, I studied philosophy, which kind of like ding 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 red flag, because I feel I don't know, a lot of times I think white dudes that study philosophy, you know what, I'm not even gonna say that or put that in this video. Do not put that in this video, Emma. I respect philosophy. No, okay, I'm just not gonna say anything about that. But then he was like, but I actually dropped out. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I have lots of friends that dropped out. I have no problem with that. I was like, what do you want to do? And he was like, I don't really know. I just, like, didn't think school was for me. And I was like, okay. And he was like, I have a passion for food. Like, I really like cooking. I worked in a restaurant in Chicago for a while. Cool, normal. Sounds good. And then he's like, but then I ran out of money, so now I'm back here. Just to clarify, back here, I live in a suburb of Baltimore, which is, like, not cool. It's not a cool place to live. I mean, it's literally just, like, a suburb where a lot of old people live. And I live here, but I work in Washington. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with working here. There isn't. It's just, like, this guy clearly didn't have a plan or, like, anything to do and just, like, ran out of money and came back to his parents' house. So I was already kind of like, this is not really going well. I also think that our conversation was just, like, kind of strained. It just wasn't great. We just wasn't vibing. But then for me, the last straw, and this is where I'm worried that people will think that I'm being shallow. Basically, he was just, like, a really disgusting eater. Like, really disgusting. Like, he got a burrito. Obviously, he ate it with his hands. Everyone eats burritos with their hands. I'm not saying he shouldn't have done that. But he's eating the burrito with his hand, and it is just all over his face. Like, literally, like, dripping down his chin. And I couldn't stop staring. Like, I was trying so hard to be polite, and I was just like... Eventually, he, like, notices me staring, and he's like, oh, yeah, a lot of my friends have told me I'm a messy eater. And I'm just like... Yeah. And then he just starts going at the insides of the burrito with his hands and just, like, shoving it in his mouth, and, like, his hands are just, like, covered in, like, salsa and, like, bean juice, and his face is covered in it, and I was just like, can I get you some napkins? And he was like, oh, yeah, thanks. So I ran and got him some napkins, and then we just talked outside the Chipotle for a little while. You know, I think he wanted something to happen. We, like, hugged, and he kind of went for it, and I was kind of like, nice to meet you. But, yeah, that is the story of my first and only Tinder date with a stranger. I'm gonna start going on more dates. I am. I'm just, like, I'm planning to move soon. I'm not even, like, tied to this geographic location, and online dating is so hard. Like, I just really don't like it. So, we'll see. Maybe there will be more Tinder stories to come. Hopefully not ones that are cringy like that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you thought it was funny or interesting at least. And yeah, leave some of your bad Tinder date stories below. Thank you so much for watching.